The Siege of Terra, 14M31. A demigod stands aboard his warship, watching the Imperial Palace burn below. He's just murdered his best friend, the one person who believed in him until the very end, for refusing to turn. 10,000 years later, this is the monster the Imperium will remember. The name that becomes synonymous with betrayal, the Golden Sun who burned the galaxy. But let's rewind. Because every monster starts somewhere. And this one, he started as the favorite. His name is Horus Lupercal. Late M30, somewhere in secret gene labs beneath the Imperial Palace, 20 designer babies are grown in incubation pods. These are normal babies, they're Primarchs, genetically engineered demigods created from the Emperor of Mankind's own DNA, each designed to be the perfect general for humanity's future. The Emperor, an immortal psyker who's been guiding humanity for 40,000 years, is launching the Great Crusade, a galaxy-wide campaign to reunite scattered human worlds under one Imperium. The plan? Raise these 20 sons, give each one a Space Marine Legion, super soldiers, and conquer the galaxy together. It's a solid plan, right up until the Chaos Gods noticed. Chaos Gods are malevolent entities living in the Warp, a nightmare dimension parallel to reality made of raw emotion and psychic energy. It's also the only way humans can travel faster than light, which is exactly as terrible as it sounds. The gods rip open the pods and scatter the Primarchs across the galaxy like cosmic confetti. The Emperor's response? Keeps copies of their DNA, starts building Space Marine legions anyway, and launches the Great Crusade to find his missing sons. One pod crashes on Catonia, a radioactive mining world orbiting just outside Earth's solar system. A gang lord, Kageddon, finds the pod, discovers a baby inside, raises him as his own. The boy fights alongside his foster father's gang for years, learning warfare in the tunnels. On Catonia, you don't get a real name until you earn it through blood. Then comes the ritual, the kill that proves you're ready. His foster father volunteers. It's tradition, the greatest gift a gang lord can give. The boy drives the blade home. With his dying breath, the old man whispers, Horus. That's his name. The Primarch genetics do their work. He grows abnormally fast, towering over normal humans built like a demigod. By the time he's a young man, Horus has united every gang on Katoria under his rule through tactical brilliance and overwhelming violence. First lesson learned, power is taken, not given. The Emperor discovers Horus in late 800s M30. Catonia orbits close to the Sol system. So when the Emperor locates his first missing son, he comes personally. The Emperor arrives on Catonia, finds Horus ruling the unified gangs, and they meet face to face. Horus kneels, swears eternal loyalty, and so he becomes the first Primarch found. Not the smartest, not the strongest, the first. That becomes his identity. The Emperor keeps Horus close for 30 years, longer than any other Primarch will ever get. Trains him personally, shares command decisions, fights beside him in early campaigns. 30 years of quality time none of his brothers will experience. During this period, the Emperor finds other Primarchs. Leman Russ on Death World of Ice and Wolves, Rogaldorn, the stoic fortress builder, Sanguinius, a winged angel who makes everyone love him instantly. But Horus was the golden standard every brother gets measured against. The Emperor grants Horus command of the 16th Legion, the Luna Wolves. They worship him like a living god. The Great Crusade accelerates, hundreds of star systems conquered over decades. Horus demonstrates tactical brilliance that makes other Primarchs look amateur, shows mercy to compliant worlds, annihilates resistors, treats conquered populations with enough respect to keep them loyal instead of rebellious. He optimizes everything, deploys Night Lords when terror tactics are needed, sends Iron Warriors for brutal sledges, uses Ultramarines for stable governance. Among his brothers, he becomes the diplomat, the peacemaker holding 20 demigod egos together. He bonds deeply with Sanguinius, the angel, the one brother he truly respects as an equal. Late-night conversations about command's weight, mutual understanding of what it means to lead. When Angron, the World Eater's Primarch with rage-inducing brain implants, threatens civilian massacres, Horus talks him down. When brothers argue, Horus mediates. The Emperor trusts him to manage family drama. The Crusade reaches Olenor, the largest orc empire the galaxy has ever seen. Orcs are green-skinned psychopaths who reproduce through spores and think more Deca is viable strategy. The Emperor deploys 100,000 Space Marines. Horus commands the entire operation. The final battle begins. The Emperor fights alongside Horus, crushing the Orc warboss together. Afterward, the Emperor proclaims Horus War Master, Supreme Commander of all Imperial forces, the highest honor any Primarch could receive. At Sanguinius' suggestion, Horus renamed his legion to the Sons of Horus. It's the peak, validation of decades of service. Every brother watches as Horus receives the one title no one will ever have. Then the Emperor turns to Terra for a project he refuses to explain, just puts Horus in charge of the entire galactic war and vanishes. Imagine your dad spends 3 decades teaching you the family business, then ghosts you for a basement project without saying why. The pressure mounts. The Council of Terra, bureaucrats who have never fought a single war, start second-guessing Horus's tactics. Some brothers resent the promotion. Angron feels overlooked. Perturabo's bitter about being the siege weapon. Conrad Kurz is a psychopath with opinions. Meanwhile, Erebus, a chaplain from the Wordbearer's Legion, infiltrates Horus's inner circle through warrior lodges, whispering doubts. The Emperor abandoned you. You're a tool, not a son. Horus stands at the peak, so why does it feel like the ground's cracking? And while Horus contemplates burning his entire collection of allies to the ground, let's talk about keeping your collection intact with today's sponsor, Tabletop Stronghold. They're a small business out of West Virginia, and their Mad Case 2.0 is basically the kind of thing you wish you discovered before that one tournament where half your squad arrived in pieces. If you're spending 40 hours painting that army, you probably shouldn't be transporting it in a shoebox held together by optimism. I know what you're gonna say, foam cases, but foam puts pressure on your models. It lets things bounce, and that banner pole, that plasma cannon, that one wing that was already a little suspicious, foam will find the weak point, every time. The Mag Case stitches all of that. Steel trays, magnets, and your models standing upright and locked in. They also include magnets for your bases, which sounds minor until you remember the last time you were doing DIY magnet prep at midnight before an event. The tray heights are adjustable too, so whether you've got standard infantry or something the size of a Primarch, it fits without you having to play Tetris with your collection. And the logistics? Free shipping to the USA, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and most of the EU. They've also got the competitive terrain set 2.0 if you're in the market for a full table setup. Right now, they're running their Independence Day sale with up to 35% off on all mag cases through July 5th. Use my link tabletopstronghold.com/mp4. It's in the pinned comment and description too. Alright, back to the heresy. Horus continues the crusade for months after Olenor, conquering world after world as War Master. But the pressure is building. The Emperor's silence, the Council's second-guessing, Erebus's whispers. Then comes Davin, a frontier world that needs to be brought into Imperial compliance, standard procedure, diplomacy first, force if necessary. Should be routine. Except Erebus has spent months infiltrating Horus's Mournival, his 4-captain inner circle, preparing the trap. Horus leads the assault on Davin's moon, clearing out the last resistance. In the ruins of a command bunker, he faces Eugen Temba, corrupted former Imperial commander, someone who served under Horus years ago, now twisted by chaos. Temba wields a warp-poison blade designed to kill Primarchs. It cuts through Horus's armor, drives into his chest. The wound runs far deeper. The blade whispers corruption in his bloodstream, his soul. Horus collapses, dying. His Mournival panics watching the War Master bleed out. The ship's Medicae can't treat warp-tainted wounds. None of them understand what they're dealing with. Erebus suggests the Serpent Lodge, a local healing temple run by Davin's priests. Claims they have ancient techniques that might work. The captains, desperate and watching their Gene Father die, agree to try anything. Inside the temple, Erebus performs what looks like primitive healing rituals. Chants, incense, local shamans, and ceremony. What the Mournival doesn't see, it's a warp ritual disguised as medicine. And in the warp, Erebus appears to Horus wearing a stolen face, a dead space marine captain Horus once trusted. Perfect disguise down to the voice. In the warp, Horus sees curated visions. The Emperor worshipped as the god, the thing he banned. Massive cathedrals built in his name, Primarchs discarded as obsolete tools, his own legion serving new commanders. His victories attributed to the Emperor alone. His name a footnote, if mentioned at all. Are these lies? Not exactly, they're possible futures. Twisted worst-case scenarios the Chaos Gods show him like targeted ads designed to make him feel terrible. But they're not impossible. The Emperor did leave without explanation. The visions feel true because parts of them are. Then, all 4 Chaos Gods make their offer, working together because Horus is too valuable to fight over. Kill your father, the galaxy is yours. Your sons rule forever, you'll never be forgotten. And here's the question nobody can answer. Does Horus believe them, or does he want to believe them? Does chaos corrupt him, or does it just show him what he already wanted and give him permission? Horus stands at a crossroads in the warp. He could reject this, fight the visions, claw his way back to the real world and warn his brothers, or he could take the offer. Guarantee his son's future, guarantee his legacy, prove the Emperor wrong. The decision takes seconds. Horus pledges to Chaos undivided all 4 gods at once. Gains war powers, psychic strength to crush minds, command demons, tear reality. He wakes healed. The Golden Sun died in that temple. What walks out is something else. Primarch Magnus the Red discovers Horus's betrayal through psychic visions, tries warning the Emperor by sending a message to Terra. Except Magnus breaks through every psychic defense, accidentally shattering the Emperor's webwing project. The Emperor is furious, orders Magnus arrested for breaking his ban on unsanctioned sorcery. Horus subtly alters the transmission of those orders, changes the context, adds clarifications, while separately contacting Leman Russ. Plays on Russ's hatred of Psychers, suggests Magnus has gone full traitor, frames it as immediate threat. Russ takes the bait, raises Magnus' planet, kills tens of thousands. Magnus flees into the war, pledges to chaos out of spite. The Emperor's warning never arrives, and Horus orchestrated the whole thing through carefully manipulated communications. He corrupts other Primarchs by pressing on their wounds. Horus offers Angron validation. Your rage is strength, not weakness. Angron joins him. Another brother, Fulgrim, is a perfectionist obsessed with flawless warfare. Horus gifts him a chaos-tainted weapon that whispers promises of perfection beyond mortal limits. Fulgrim's pride does the rest. Mortarion hates Psychers and resents the Emperor for robbing him of personal revenge years ago. Horus offers him a war where he gets control. Mortarion accepts. Lorgar, already worshipping chaos, the architect behind everything, Erebus is his agent. Perturabo, bitter about being the siege weapon with no glory, plus Night Lords, Alpha Legion, Dark Mechanicum. Horus convinces them all to join his rebellion. Meanwhile, he quietly reassigns loyalist space marines into kill zones where they'll be ambushed, reroutes supply ships so loyal forces starve, and manipulates recruitment orders to send reinforcements straight into traitors' hands. Then Horus decides to make his first open move. He deploys to a planet called Istvan III, bringing 4 legions with him, but not all of them are corrupted yet. Some space marines still believe in the Emperor, would refuse orders if they knew what Horus planned, so Horus sends them to the planet's surface for what looks like standard planetary assault. They're still saluting when he deploys Life Eater virus bombs from orbit. The virus that reduces organic matter to sludge ignites the atmosphere. Nothing says career pivot quite like orbital bombardment during the company meeting. Word reaches Terra, survivors from Istvan III warn the Emperor about Horus's betrayal. The Emperor dispatches loyalist legions to arrest Horus and restore order. A Primarch named Ferrus Manus, hot-headed, furious, pushes ahead with 3 legions, hitting Horus's forces hard. 4 more legions arrive as reinforcements, ostensibly loyal, responding to the crisis. Then the second wave legions opens fire on the first wave instead of the traitors. It's a trap. This becomes known as the Dropside Massacre at Istvan V. The betrayal is so sudden, thousands die before processing what's happening. Fulgrim, Primarch of the Emperor's children, Horus's corrupted brother, duels Ferrus Manus, kills him, decapitates him, presents the head to Horus like a trophy. Horus looks at his brother's severed head, the friend he once fought beside, and expresses only disappointment at the waste. Fulgrim takes it back, later uses it in a demonic ritual. Primarch Vulcan gets captured and tortured, others barely escape. Tens of thousands dead, half the legions follow Horus now, and there's no going back. But it's not enough. Horus wants godhood. He invades Molech, where the Emperor entered a warp gate millennia ago and stole power from the Chaos Gods. Horus is going to walk the same path, enters the same gate, fights through demonic realms inside the warp, landscapes of madness, physics-defying nightmares. Unlike the Emperor who stole and ran, Horus submits, lets the Chaos Gods in. He emerges transformed into a godlike demon prince, but his soul is partially torn. Pieces belong to all 4 gods now. The rebellion leads him now, and he just follows. The War Master becomes a weapon. The rebellion spreads for months, system after system falls to Horus's forces. The Emperor is still on Terra, desperate for any way to stop this without losing more sons. He sends Leman Russ, the brother who always followed orders, who hated chaos more than anyone, on a secret mission. Find Horus, save him if possible, kill him if not. Russ tracks Horus's fleet for weeks, finally catching him at Trisolian, a minor system Horus is using as a staging ground. The ambush is perfect. Russ drives the Spear of Russ, a weapon the Emperor forged specifically to fight chaos corruption, straight into Horus's chest. For a moment, it works. The warp taint burns away. The corruption purges like poison sucked from a wound. Horus sees clearly for the first time since Davin, sees what he's become, the atrocities committed, the brothers dead by his hand. Internally, something shifts, a flicker of the man he was, recognizing the monster he's become. But Russ isn't offering reconciliation, he's trying to finish the kill. And in that moment of clarity, Horus sees 2 paths. Fight back to sanity, rejoin his brothers, beg the Emperor's forgiveness, or double down, embrace what he's become, finish what he started. Horus chooses damnation, refuses the path back. Some part of him wants this, wants the power, wants the validation, wants to prove the Emperor wrong. Has the Golden Sun always been a willing participant? Horus forces Russ to retreat, wounds him badly enough that the Space Wolves must retreat. The spear inflicted more than physical damage though, it left a wound that won't fully heal. Months later, Horus is leading the push toward Terra itself, massive fleet battles in the outer systems, burning through the Imperium's last defenses. During one of these battles, Horus collapses into a coma. The wound from the spear reopens. Inside the Moloch gate within his soul, the 4 Chaos Gods fight over him, trapping a fragment of his soul in their struggle. Malgurst, Horus's advisor since Luna Wolf's days, performs a desperate ritual, stabs a wound into his own side, uses his body as a bridge to reach the trapped fragment, drags it back, dies screaming as the ritual consumes him, but succeeds. Horus wakes up fully restored. Nothing's stopping him now. They march onwards to Terra. Horus rules his rebellion from his ship by terror now. When Lorgar attempts a coup demanding more chaos submission, Horus crushes it. He's War Master, not anyone's priest. But Abaddon, the first captain who's followed Horus since Catonia, watches what Horus becomes and grows disillusioned. The charismatic leader is now a paranoid god tyrant, executing subordinates for perceived disloyalty. The drive to Terra begins, massive fleet battles pushing into humanity's home system via warp rifts. Traitor forces bombard Terra. The siege drags on for 55 solar days of ground combat following the initial orbital bombardment, though the broader solar war campaign spans months. Ruggledorn fortifies the palace into a continent-spanning fortress. Sanguinius holds the Eternity Gate against endless waves. The Emperor has been holding the Webway Gate in the palace basement for weeks, keeping demons from flooding Terra while the siege rages above. Finally, he's forced to abandon it. Malcador, his oldest friend, his right hand since the beginning, volunteers to take his place on the Golden Throne. It's a death sentence. The psychic strain of holding the gate shut is immense, designed for the Emperor, not a mortal psyker, even one as powerful as Malcador. But Malcador endures, manages to hold on just long enough for the Emperor to leave the palace, board Horus's flagship, and end this. Everything converges, one ship, one throne room, one duel. Sanguinius reaches Horus first aboard his ship. He doesn't ask Horus to turn back, instead it's Horus who makes Sanguinius an offer, turn to chaos. But Sanguinius refuses and readies his blade. The Great Angel, wings of white feathers, golden armor, the brother Horus respected most. Sanguinius had seen his own death in visions for years, knows this is the moment, comes anyway. But Sanguinius is exhausted from holding the Eternity Gate for days, and Horus's demon-empowered god-tier strength. Horus shatters his wings bone by bone and snaps his spine. Horus doesn't pause to mourn. Whatever remained of the Golden Sun dies here too. Then Horus lowers his void shields, the tactical equivalent of leaving your front door open with a totally not a trap sign. But it's also an invitation, a challenge. The Emperor knows it's a trap, goes anyway, because that's what fathers do. Brings Ruggledorn, but they're separated by warp interference. The duel begins. Horus, fully empowered by all 4 Chaos Gods, tears through the Emperor's defenses. The Emperor fights with restraint, still hoping to save his son. Every strike calculated to disable, not kill. Horus sees it, mocks him for weakness. Psychic illusions swirl, projections of broken bodies, false victories, deceptions layered on deceptions. Through it all, Horus overpowers the Emperor, pins him, raises his weapon for the killing blow. Then, Olanius Persson charges. A perpetual who's fought beside the Emperor since ancient Terra. Immortal, but not unkillable when facing this much power. He knows what this means. Horus is so far beyond redemption that only a sacrificial act of defiance can show the Emperor the truth. Horus kills him in an instant. Whether his perpetual nature can resurrect him from this is unknown, but in the moment he's gone. Drives a sword, reality-severing, warp-cutting absolute through Horus's chest, then channels 40,000 years of accumulated psychic power through the blade. Horus doesn't just die, he's erased. His mind, body, soul, and future are annihilated. No redemption, no final words, no "I'm sorry, father," just oblivion. Body charged to skeleton, soul destroyed beyond resurrection. Horus Lupercal is permanently dead, soul annihilated. The heresy ends, but the Imperium's forever scarred. 10,000 years later, the galaxy still fights his shadow. The Emperor still burns on the Golden Throne because of him. And somewhere in the warp, the Chaos Gods laugh, because even erased, even annihilated, Horus Lupercal gave them exactly what they wanted. The Imperium broken, the Emperor prisoned, humanity's hope shattered. All because the favorite son wanted to stay the favorite, but that was never going to be enough.